Hi children, nutrition in animals. You have learned in chapter 1 that plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, but animals cannot. Animals get their food from plants either directly by eating plants or indirectly by eating animals that eat plants. Some animals eat both plants and animals. So, the animal nutrition includes nutrition requirement, mode of intake of food, and its utilization in the body. You have studied in class 6 that food consists of many components. Try to recall and you can say the answer. You have studied carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and dietary fibers. The components of food, such as carbohydrates, are complex substances. So, these complex substances cannot be utilized as such. So, they should be broken down into simpler substances. The breakdown of complex components of food into simpler substances is called digestion. Let's see the various ways of taking food. In this chart you can see how animal is taking food. The different animals are taken food in different ways. So the snail is taking food by scraping and by chewing. Eagle capturing, tearing and swallowing. Hummingbird, they suck the nectar. Even lice, they suck the blood. Mosquito again, they suck the blood. Butterfly, sucking nectar. Housefly also sucking the sweet or dirty liquid of any solid substances. Let's see how digestion takes place in human beings. We take in food through the mouth, digest and utilize it. The unused parts of the food are defecated. Have you ever wondered what happens to the food inside the body? The food passes through a continuous canal which begins at the buccal cavity and ends at the anus. The buccal cavity means mouth. The canal can be divided into two various compartments. The buccal cavity, food pipe or esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. These parts together form alimentary canal or digestive system, otherwise digestive tract. The food components gradually get digested as food travels through the various compartments. The inner walls of the stomach and the small intestine and the various glands associated with the canal such as salivary glands, the liver and the pancreas secrete digestive juices. So these digestive juices convert complex substances of food into simpler ones. So the digestive tract and the associated glands together constitute the digestive system. In this picture you can see the digestive tract. The digestive glands are associated and those two together called digestive system. So now let's know what happens to the food in different parts of the digestive tract. The first one is the mouth and the buccal cavity. The food is taken into the body through the mouth. The process of taking food into the body is called ingestion. We chew the food with the teeth and break it down mechanically into small pieces. Each tooth is rooted in a separate socket in the gums. Our teeth vary in appearance and perform different functions. Accordingly, they are given different names. See, in this, if you see, there are 4 different names are there. Incisors, canine, molar, premolar. So, there are 4 different types of teeth. The first one, incisors. They are also called biting teeth. They are flat, blade-like teeth. The incisors are the front teeth and are so called because they help to incise, otherwise to cut the food. Now next one is canines. They are also called tearing teeth. They have very sharp edges and help to tear the food. Now next comes the premolars. They have broader surface and therefore help to chew and grind the food. Then the molars, these are the large back teeth. They have wide grinding surface and are used primarily to chew the food. So you can see in this chart, so how many teeth are there, what is the function is given clearly. So the first one, incisors, the function is cutting and biting. So the number in the lower jaw 4, in the upper jaw 4. You can touch and count. So total 8 incisors you have. Now canine, the function is piercing and tearing. Number lower jaw 2 and upper jaw 2. The total teeth is 4. Now comes the premolar. Premolar especially used for chewing. So lower jaw 4 and upper jaw 4, total 8. Now the last one, molar. The molars are used to used for grinding the food. So lower jaw 6 are there and upper jaw 6 are there, total 12. So altogether we have 32 teeth. Do you remember about falling of your teeth some years ago? The first set of teeth grows during infancy and they fall off at the age between 6 to 8 years. These are termed milk teeth. The second set that replaces them are the permanent teeth. The permanent teeth may last throughout life or fall off during old age or due to some dental diseases. So the next one is, in the mouth we can see the salivary glands. So the salivary glands which secrete saliva. The saliva makes the food slimy so that it can be easily swallowed. Now here we are going to see about what does this saliva do on food. So what is the effect of saliva on starch? Starch means the type of carbohydrates. You know that the main constituent of food is carbohydrate. First take 2 test tubes, label them A and B. In test tube A, put 1 teaspoonful of boiled rice. In test tube B, keep 1 teaspoonful of boiled rice after chewing it for 3 to 5 minutes. Now add 3 to 4 ml of water in both the test tubes. Now pour 2 to 3 drops of iodine solution in each test tube and observe. Can you find out the change in the color? Yes, because the saliva breaks down the starch into sugar. The tongue is the next one is the tongue. The tongue is a fleshy muscular organ attached at the back to the floor of the buccal cavity. It is free at the front end and can be moved in all directions. Do you know the functions of the tongue? Yes, we use our tongue for talking. Besides, it mixes saliva with the food during chewing and helps in swallowing food. We also taste food with our tongue. It has taste buds that detect different tastes. So in this picture you can see the sweet taste is on the tip and salty on either side of the tip of the tongue. The sour taste slightly posterior side of it, and bitter taste is detected in posterior region of the tongue. So these are the main taste we can find out from the taste buds in the tongue. Now the next one is the food pipe or esophagus. So the esophagus send the food from the mouth to the stomach. The swallowed food passes into the food pipe or esophagus. The food pipe runs along the neck and the chest. Food is pushed down by the movement of the wall of the food pipe. Actually, this movement takes place throughout the alimentary canal and pushes the food downwards. So the walls of the esophagus contract or relax to produce the wave-like movement. When it is relaxed, the food is passing through the next side. Now, this movement is called peristaltic movement. The esophagus is connected with the stomach. The stomach is a thick-walled bag. Its shape is like a flattened J, and it is the widest part of the alimentary canal. It receives food from the food pipe at one end and opens to the small intestine at the other end. The inner lining of the stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid, and digestive juices. The mucus protects the lining of the stomach. The acid kills many bacteria that enter along the food and makes the medium in the stomach acidic and helps the digestive juices to act. The digestive juices break down the proteins into simpler substances. So, when the food is chewed in the mouth, the little carbohydrate is started digested. So, the digestion begins in the mouth and slowly it comes to the stomach through the esophagus. In the stomach, with the help of the digestive juices, it breaks down into the proteins into the simpler substances. So, in this picture you can see the liver, gallbladder, and the stomach. Now, the stomach is connected with the small intestine. So, in the beginning of the small intestine, the liver and the pancreas are connected. So, here the small intestine is highly coiled and it is about 7.5 meters long. It receives secretions from the liver and the pancreas. Besides, its walls also secrete juices. So, the liver is a reddish-brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. It is the largest gland in the body. It secretes bile juice that is stored in the sac called gallbladder. So, here you can see in the picture green color it is marked. So, the liver secretes bile juice and it is stored in the gallbladder. The bile plays an important role in the digestion of fats. So, the bile is very much helpful in the digestion of fats. Now, you can see that yellowish color pancreas. The pancreas is a large cream colored gland located just below the stomach. The pancreatic juice acts on carbohydrates, fats, and proteins and changes them into simpler forms. The partly digested food now reaches the lower part of the small intestine where the intestinal juices completes the digestion of all components of the food. The carbohydrates get broken into simple sugars such as glucose, fats into fatty acids, and glycerol, and proteins into amino acids. Now, how the absorption takes place in the small intestine. The digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the wall of the intestine. This process is called absorption. So first step in the mouth we saw it is ingestion, and then from the mouth to stomach and the small intestine the digestion takes place. Now you can see in the end of the small intestine there is the absorption takes place. The inner walls of the small intestine have thousands of finger-like structure that is called villi. The villi increase the surface area for absorption of the digested food. Each villus has a network of thin and small blood vessels close to its surface. The surface of the villi absorbs the digested food materials. The absorbed substances are transported via the blood vessels to different organs of the body, where they are used to build complex substances such as the proteins required by the body. So, in the villi, they absorb the nutrients which is digested. And this process is called, and then it is used by the body, that is called assimilation. So in the cells, glucose breaks down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. The food that remains undigested and unabsorbed enters into the large intestine. So the large intestine is wider and shorter than small intestine. It is about 1.5 meter in length. Its function is to absorb water and some salts from the undigested food. The remaining waste passes into the rectum and remain there as semi-solid feces. The fecal matter is removed through the anus from time to time. This is called egestion. So in this picture you can see food enters in the mouth. So here it is chewed with the help of the saliva, and that is called bolus. And then it is passes into esophagus. From the esophagus, the food goes into stomach. In the stomach, hydrochloric acid and gastric juices are secreted, and then the food is digested there with the help of liver, bile and intestinal juices. And then the fully completed digested food is passed into the small intestine. There it is absorbed. So in the small intestine, the digestion completes, and then in the end of the small intestine it is absorbed. The nutrients are absorbed by the villi, and the undigested food is passed through the large intestine, and the large intestine absorbs water, and the leftover undigested solid waste is sent to the rectum, and then it is passed out of the body through the anus. This is the way the digestion taking place in the human beings. Now, from all these you have studied 5 stages. One is ingestion, next one digestion, then absorption, then assimilation, and then egestion. So whoever the living organism, when they take food, these 5 steps takes place. So the first one, ingestion, the process which involves taking in food inside the body of an organism is called ingestion. Now the next one, digestion, the process of breaking down of complex components of food into simple soluble form is called digestion. Now the third process is, after digestion, the soluble products of the digested food is passed into the cells of the body through body fluids such as blood is called absorption. The next one is assimilation, the process of using the absorbed food molecules for producing energy and growth is called assimilation. Now after assimilation, the process of removing undigested food materials from the body is called egestion. So these are the 5 steps takes place in all the living organisms in the nutrition. Now let's see how the nutrition takes place in Grass-eating animals. So, have you observed cow, buffaloes, and other grass-eating animals chewing continuously even when they are not eating? Actually, they quickly swallow the grass and store it in a part of the stomach called rumen. Here in this picture, you can see the rumen. First, they swallow the grass and directly they stored in the rumen. Here, the food gets partially digested and it is called cud. But later, the cud returns to the mouth in small lumps and the animal chews it. This process is called rumination. So, these animals are called ruminants. So, the process of taking back the swallowed food and then got digested in the body is called rumination, and these type of animals are called ruminants. So, why these animals are chewing the food for long? The grass is rich in cellulose, a type of carbohydrate. Cellulose means a type of carbohydrate. In ruminants like cattle, deer, etc., bacteria present in rumen helps in digestion of cellulose. The many animals, including humans, cannot digest cellulose. Animals like horses, rabbit, etc. have a large sac-like structure called cecum between the esophagus and small intestine. The cellulose of the food is digested here by the action of certain bacteria which are not present in humans. So this is the way the digestion taking place in the grass-eating animals, otherwise they are called the ruminants. So here they store the food and then it is taken and then it is digested by the act of the bacteria. You have learned about animals which possess the digestive system. But there are many animals, that means small microscopic organisms, they do not have mouth and digestive system. Then how do they acquire and digest the food? So here you see the structure of amoeba. Amoeba is a microscopic single-celled organism found in pond water. It has a cell membrane, a rounded, dense nucleus in the middle, and many small bubble-like vacuoles in its cytoplasm. Amoeba constantly changes its shape and position. It pushes out one or more finger-like projections. They are called pseudopodia. They are called the false foot, otherwise false feet, for the movement. So these pseudopodia are useful for capturing the food and for the movement. So amoeba feeds on some microscopic organisms. When it senses food, it pushes out this pseudopodia around the food particle and engulfs it. The food becomes trapped in the food vacuole. Now digestive juices are secreted into the food vacuole. They act on the food and break it down into simpler substances. Gradually, the digested food is absorbed. The absorbed substances are used for growth, maintenance, and multiplication. The undigested residue of the food is expelled outside by the vacuole. So, this is the way the amoeba takes its food. So, you have learned the various organs of the alimentary canal of the human digestive system. So it consists of buccal cavity, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum and anus. Then some digestive glands are there. They are salivary glands, liver and pancreas. The stomach wall and the wall of the small intestine also secrete digestive juices. And then the 5 stages ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, and egestion. And then how the rumination takes place in the ruminants and how nutrition takes place in amoeba also we have discussed. You can read the textbook and you can write the objectives of the textbooks. Textbook exercises given, objectives are given that you can solve it. Thank you.